What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Sunday to all. It's a beautiful Sunday here. Of course, we are talking Phillies. We haven't had a chance to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies in an almighty series here in August against the New York Mets. The Phillies, through the first two games, find a way to split the series. So we're going to briefly talk about both the games, what my takeaways from both of these games as we gear up for game number 3 here today on a beautiful Sunday. Real quick before we dive into today, welcome on a Phillies game recap. Take a quick second to hit that like button. If you haven't already, make sure you guys do subscribe. We do talk about Philly sports all the time here. We got done talking about the Union last night in their big win against the Chicago Fire, 4-1, and of course tonight we'll be talking about the Phillies as they capitalize, hopefully, possibly, and they end the series against the New York Mets. So let's get straight into it. So obviously, we're going to start off with Friday night, gearing up for the series. It was a 2-1 victory for the Philadelphia Phillies in a big way. You get the dub in extras. This game went into 10 innings. You had the Ranger Suarez matchup going up against Sir Max Scherzer, and it was honestly quite surprising that Ranger Suarez went toe-to-toe with Max Scherzer, and that was pretty damn cool. But the defense was big. We'll get to that in just a second. You had great rundowns by Matt Vierling, great plays by Alec Boehm at third base, flashing the arm, barehanding balls and getting it to first base. You You had overall just a great performance, and of course, it was all highlighted by Bryson Stott, who had a 3-for-4 day. Got the game started in the first inning with his double. That Alec Boehm was then able to bring him in with that single. And Bryson Stott from second to home in the first inning got the 1-0 lead here for the Phillies. And obviously, the big story in this game was the fact that Kyle Schwarber was out. Obviously, he's still day to day, and Topper made the decision of going with the youngster. He decided to put Bryson Stott as a leadoff guy, and I think it definitely paid off in dividends. And we kind of talked about it. You wanted to see, for me, I kind of want to see Brandon Marsh, but I don't think he's ever played in that type of role. But Bryson Stott is a nice little wild card because he is young, and with a move like that, it's got to bring a jolt of energy to him, and it was quite obvious. I mean, he was 3-for-4 here today against Max Scherzer. His numbers against Max Scherzer are really impressive. It just feels like he doesn't care who the pitcher is, right? Like, it could be Babe Ruth, it could be Nolan Ryan. Like, he does not care who's on the mound. Like, he wants to go out there, and he wants to make a difference, and he wants to produce for his team. And he was a really big contributor in this ball game. And, of course, in the top of the 10th inning, after a ground out by Reese Hoskins, Alec Boehm with a sac fly to bring in Bryson Stott from second to from third to home. And so that was a big play, and Bryson Stott was really the player of the game. But of course, the big part about this game was the fact that Ranger Suarez was able to go 7 deep. He only allowed 3 hits, 1 earned. He only walked 2, and he had 4 strikeouts. But going toe to toe with Max Scherzer, he did not look rattled whatsoever. And we really do need to talk about Ranger Suarez because he's slowly starting to get back into form of what we saw at the end of last year. He's got his ERA down to 3.50. And so he's looking a lot better, and he's looking like the pitcher that we saw last year. And we kind of talked about it before the year. Like, having a sub-2 ERA is probably not going to happen again. But before the season, I thought that around a 3.5 ERA is exactly where Ranger Suarez is probably going to be this season. And right now, his trajectory is heading in that direction. But you also had great bullpen pieces, providing, especially when the Mets have Max Scherzer and then they get Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning. Like, that's pretty deadly. But great play by Jose Alvarado, obviously, Sir Anthony Dominguez, and David Robertson coming in here, 1, 2, 3, doing a great job of getting out of the inning, allowing no earned runs. So I thought it was very, very interesting to see that the pitchers, the arms, really stepped up, even with this deadly Mets lineup that they do provide. I think, to me, the play of the game defensively had to be Matty V in the 9th inning, getting Starling Marte out at home base. Great job of catching the ball and then just darting it from left field to home plate. And you know what? Kyle Schwarber was not going to get out Starling Marte at home base. And I thought that was a really dope play by him. But yeah, this was the game one that you absolutely wanted to see, and it definitely led into game two where you're riding high and let's keep the momentum going. And this matchup was different because you had Aaron Nola going up against Jacob DeGrom. The DeGromer making his second start of the year. His first one was pretty damn good, but in typical Mets fashion, not getting him the run support that he needed. So, but this was another low-scoring ball game, and the Mets were able to get on the board early in this one. They struck first as Pete Alonso would single in the first inning that brought in Starling Marte. Marte would score on this one, but that was really the difference. There was no more runs in this game. You had a total of 7 hits in this ball game between both of those teams, and that goes to show that both the pitchers were obviously on between Jacob DeGrom and Aaron Nola. They both were on. I mean, Aaron Nola pitched 8 innings. He only allowed one earned run. He threw a complete game and still could not could not get the win, man. It is so frustrating. But DeGrom went 6 innings here. I'm assuming the Mets are going to monitor his pitches and his innings. They want to make sure that they don't overwork him as he comes back from injury. Obviously, they lost him for a significant amount of time, so they want to make sure that they can conserve him for the long haul. But Max went 6 innings. He allowed 2 hits and 10. He had 10 strikeouts to like. He's still pretty freaking filthy, and the Phillies bats had no answers for that. And of course, Edwin Diaz comes in at the ninth inning of this ball game as well. Listen, it's only so much that you can do with the bats, but I will say this: there is one person that I have yet to see, and I think I should say all of us have yet to see step up, and that is Nick Castellanos. No Kyle Schwarber in this game still. Back-to-back days missing, and this is something that we kind of been alluded to. After that Marlins game, we knew that he was day-to-day. We did not know when he would come back. There was a possibility he'd be coming back for this series, but obviously he can't come back yet. So I've seen Reese Hoskins step up this year. I've seen JT Realmuto step up this year. Heck, I've even seen Alec Bohm step up, this year. But the one guy who, in this type of situation, I would expect to step up would be Nick Castellanos. The man is obviously making the money that he is. He's a big part of this baseball team. We spent the money for a reason, right? It was for him to knock in runs, and he has been a contributor. There's been stretches where he's been a contributor, but to say that he has really carried a team at moments, made humongous plays at moments, games where he like Bryson Stott on Fridays, like a perfect example. Have we seen that from Nick Castellanos? No, and it's very frustrating, especially in this type of game where it was really a game where it's like, look, we obviously know that DeGrom and Scherzer are freaking phenomenal. Like, we don't need to debate that, but that doesn't mean that they're not human. And all you really needed was just one guy to make a play. That's all it took. And you're just thinking to yourself, that has to be Nick Castellanos. Like, out of all the players, it has to be Nick Castellanos. And he just did not step up. We are now in the middle of August. Tomorrow will be August 15th. It will be exactly the halfway point of this month. And yet Nick Castellanos has not stepped up. I don't want to think about the off season yet because, look, we still got a lot of baseball left to play, and we got a playoff run to get to. And Nick Castellanos has got time to rewrite this off. But right now, this deal is not looking good for the Phillies. It's just straight up not looking good. And I hope that maybe he's a playoff dude. Maybe with the brighter lights, brighter situation, more heated, pressured moments, I would hope that he would step up. I mean, that strikeout in the bottom of the ninth, or top of the ninth, I'm sorry, to end the ball game, it really signified exactly what it's been like with Nick Castellanos here in Philadelphia. It was truly disappointing. So Philly split so far the series, and obviously today they'll be able to go for the win. But I think for me, number one, when I look at these two games, I definitely want to start off by talking about Keith Hernandez's comments. Like, how can you not? Like, how can anyone in Philadelphia heading into this series not think about what Keith said? Whether you be a fan, whether you be someone who covers his team, whether you be someone involved in that organization in the day-to-day operations, how can you not sit there and feel motivated and feel fired up going into this series because of what Keith Hernandez said? Our defense is that bad? Well, you know what? Our defense has held the New York Mets to 2 runs in 2 games. And the Mets do have some bats. I mean, when you got Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, Vogelbach, McNeil, Nito, like, it goes on. Like, that to me is a deadly lineup. and yet the Phillies found a way to only allow them to score 2 runs. Not just 2 runs. Saturday they had 4 hits. On on Friday they had 5 hits, 9 hits in total. They held them under to single-digit hits and 2 runs. I mean, to me, I don't know, Keith, but that's some pretty good defense. And just the plays that you saw throughout the Bryson Stott made big. By the way, the left side of the infield being as young as it is, this would have never happened with Joe Girardi. Never would have happened with Joe Girardi. But I love that it's happening here with Dombrowski and I guess I'll throw Dombrowski and Thompson, because we talked about this. It is so important to have young players. Number one, the upside is there. You don't know exactly what it's going to be. You don't know how good they're going to be. You also don't know how bad they're going to be. But you're going to look at the bright spot. You don't know how good they're going to be. They're obviously cheap. They're young, so they provide energy. And that's why you play young players. That's why good teams play young players, especially when you got the mix of veteran players. Add some young players, but they're stepping up. Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, Matty V, and all these guys have made big plays with their gloves. Even Brandon Marshall. So Brandon Marshall there. I know he's not a product of Philadelphia, but he's still a young player. And all these guys stepped up big and made big defensive plays. And I thought you got some great pitching as well, whether it was from Ranger Suarez on Friday or if it was Aaron Nola on Saturday. They both played really damn well. I mean, Aaron Nola without 1 run, man. You got to help him out. You got to get him that run support. At the end of the day, you got to get him that run support. So having the Phillies, and the Phillies definitely, that dugout definitely heard those comments. Having the Phillies step up the way they did in this series, making the plays that they did. I mean, just look at the Starling Marte rundown by Matty V. If Matty V does not get that ball off the way he did, that would have been a run. That would have been a run. And possibly the Phillies would have lost the game because the momentum would have definitely shifted. And the Phillies found a way to get that momentum and run with it, man. And so I'm very proud that the Phillies responded back. You know, you don't always have to listen to the outside noise. But something like that, if that pushes you, if that motivates you, kind of like Michael Jordan, and I took offense to that. Well, then good. Take offense to that and prove it. Prove it you're a good defensive team, because this is quite honestly a good defensive team. This defense is much better than what it's been in the past couple seasons. You know, we criticize the bullpen, but fundamentally this team, even this season, this team has made some little league mistakes. But overall, it's been pretty damn solid. And your positions are solidified. You know, obviously your infield solidified with Hoskins, Gene, Bryson, Alec. Your outfield with Nick Castellanos. Obviously, your outfield's a little bit different because your corner outfield is probably not what you anticipated to be this year with Casti and Schwarber as your corner outfielders. But obviously, right now you got Matty B at the left because of Schwarber's injury. But it's serviceable. I mean, the Braves won last year with subpar corner outfielders, and it could be done. It could definitely be done. To me, what this series has shown me is that, you know, it's been a while since we played the Mets, right? So, like, a lot has changed. You know, obviously we've gone through manager change. We've gone through a couple different roster movements. And by the way, I will say congrats to Jerry's Familia for getting another job. I don't know how the Boston Red Sox decided that picking up Jerry's Familia was the right idea, but they did, and he is now part of the Boston Red Sox. But, you know, this team is much different than what last time we saw, which was what, like the late May, early June, last time we saw the New York Mets. And this team has completely changed. And they, to me, showed me this past weekend they can go toe-to-toe with the New York Mets. The division might be out of reach. I mean, the Mets are 74-40 and the Phillies are 63-50. So the division might be a little bit out of reach, but you definitely don't want to just see them not go for it. Like, just because it seems a little bit out of reach, I mean, it's still August. You still got time. You got over a month left to play for the season. Go for it. Go for the division. But it showed me this weekend that this team is not far off from the New York Mets. To me, the pitching can go with the pitching of the New York Mets, which is obviously a pretty good rotation. Obviously, we have the bats, and that doesn't even include the reigning NL MVP and Bryce Harper, who still is hampering his injury. I mean, if you can get Nick Castellanos to wake that half up and from whatever dream he's on or nightmare he's on, like that would make this lineup even more dangerous. I think the bullpen. I think obviously the Mets have the best closer in baseball right now, but I think that the Phillies have a pretty solidified bullpen these days. It's pretty damn good. Robinson, Alvarado, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Knable, Hand. I'm riding with those dudes. I'm riding with the bullpen that we got right now. It's working. It's working for us, and I think that playoff time, this would not only be an entertaining series for any baseball fan, but I think the Phillies have a good enough team that can throw off the New York Mets. The New York Mets might get the number one seed, and who cares? Whatever. They give them the number one seed. Let's see what they can do in the playoffs. These guys have never shown that they can be clutch. It's one thing to do in the regular season. There's not that much pressure. I know the New York media is what it is. It's all a bunch of bark, no bite. But the playoffs, that's a completely different animal. That's a completely different bite. So I think that this is going to me, this is gearing up to be a very interesting playoff series come playoff time. But I'm going to be intrigued to see. But this has been everything we've been bargaining for, guys. Right? I mean, Phillies have made it two entertaining, two very competitive games, and you cannot be mad at any one of these games, whether you're a Phillies or whether you're a Mets fan. I mean, obviously you can be a little upset about Nick Castellanos not stepping up. I mean, I don't know what else you can really be upset about with this ball game or with this ball team, but obviously really the only thing is I mean, obviously I would like Nick Castellanos to kind of step up. You know, it's really the one thing that we have really not seen is Nick Castellanos kind of carry this. It's really the offense. Like, it'd be nice to have a game where he goes 3 for 4 with a home run, a single and a double, maybe just shy of the rotation, or the cycle. I'm sorry, but it's just the one. It's the only thing really that I could really ask for. But obviously, you got today is the finale of this series, and the Phillies can go for the series win. Now, if the Phillies do lose today, does that make it a failure of a series? I personally do not believe that it does. But what you want is to continue doing what you've been doing, so far in the series, and that's been a very competitive, a very back and forth type of series. I mean, it's been close ass games as we saw, but now, thing is today, it's a 140 first pitch. You have the upper edge. Whereas on Friday, the Mets had the upper edge in the pitching matchup between Scherzer and Suarez. Today, you got Zachy Wheeler on Wheels Day going up against Cole Bassett. You absolutely have the edge in this pitching duel. Now, Cole Bassett I don't want to make it sound like Cole Bassett's no slouch, but come on, it's Wheels. It's the reigning NL Cy Young award-winning runner-up. And he's still pretty damn good this year with his 2.63 ERA heading into Citi Field. He does play good against his former club, too. That's the thing. We have the edge here today. I want to see what we can do. Now, I'm also going to keep an eye out on any Schwarber updates. There hasn't been any. I wouldn't anticipate him to be here today because he probably would have heard something. You know, possibly taking it easy, coming back for the Red Series, some point at the Red Series. Funny part is, you're going to see this team back here in Philly this next weekend. So it's get what you can here today, get what you can throughout the series, and then come back here for Philly, and get a series win. So, I mean, but today you have a really good shot of getting a series win. I would expect the starting lineup to kind of stay the same in a big Game 3 matchup against the Mets. So that should be a lot of fun. So I anticipate the Phillies to get the series win here today and head on over, come back against the Reds. Hopefully we can get back into sweeping form and find a way to sweep the lowly Cincinnati Reds. But this series has been a lot of fun, and you can't be too upset if you're a Phillies fan this weekend because the Phillies gave some hell to the New York Mets. And the Mets the Mets fans packed Citi Field. It was fun giving it to them on Friday. Friday was fun because being able to hear someone calling us out. And I feel like the last time the media called out the city of Philadelphia was like the Ben Simmons BS, when people not understanding what was going on in Philadelphia, not understanding that Ben Simmons did not straight up just gave up on the team. And it's funny because now people are starting to see the real Ben Simmons. But, that was really the last time we heard the media getting on Philadelphia. And now this one was sweet. The first thing I thought of, because overall, I mean, it was a great defensive game on Friday by the Phillies. And the first thing I thought of, thank you, Keith. Thank you for lighting a fire under our baseball team. So we'll be back live again tonight, guys. Obviously, Phillies, nothing else today. So Phillies will be getting the live spot here. So tonight at 9 o'clock, we will not be able to go live right after the game. So tonight at 9 o'clock, be there. We'll be live for the game recap. We'll talk about this series finale. Whatever you guys want to talk about from this weekend, we will just be discussing as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you guys don't miss out on any of this live content, any of this content in general for Philly sports. So we will be live tonight at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock we'll be there. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, the Phillies split the series, back again here today for Game 3. Hopefully they can win the series. We'll see what happens. But, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm in Parcero Philly, and I'm telling you guys, let's go Phils, and Mets, you suck.